Thursday Night Football, Week 3, so much will come down to the backfields. Can the Jets shut down the Patriots' run game? Can they get their dynamic duo of young backs, Breece Hall and Braelon Allen, involved? Let's preview Jets-Patriots today on Locked On Jets.
You are Locked On Jets, your daily New York Jets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, Jets fans and Patriots fans. I'm John Butchko, the host of Locked On Jets, along with Mike Debate, the host of Locked On Patriots. It's crossover Thursday here on the Locked On Podcast Network, and it's a game day as the Jets will face the New England Patriots tonight on Thursday Night Football. It is the Jets' home opener, a bit of an unusual home opener for it to be Week 3 on Thursday Night Football. Of course, they're facing their bitter rival, the New England Patriots. And as I mentioned, I'm joined by my good friend Mike Debate of Locked On Patriots. You should know that the crossover Thursday, like all crossover Thursdays, is presented by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Well, Mike, great to be with you as always. We do this twice a year. It's always one of my favorite shows to do, Jets and Patriots.
Absolutely, John. It's always great sharing the microphone with you. Always an honor, my friend. And this is going to be a lot of fun. This is a crossover I think we expected to have last year. The Jets coming in pretty much at full strength. The Patriots still trying to build back better, whatever that may be. This one's going to be a fun one. The green side of the Meadowlands on Thursday night.
All right, well, Mike, let's talk about that process for the Patriots. What's the biggest story for the New England Patriots on offense entering this Week 3 game?
Well, conventional wisdom would tell you that it would be the passing game. It would be the quarterbacks, whether or not the rookie Drake May is being held beyond his will and Jacoby Brissett is coming in and trying to take away reps from the Patriots' shiny new toy. But honestly, John, the biggest story on offense for the New England Patriots right now is injuries. And unfortunately, the injury bug has hit the Patriots hardest in their weakest position, which is left tackle. Left tackle Vidarian Lowe, the starter for this season. The New England Patriots just released that he will be out for Thursday night's game with a knee injury. He's been battling that, forced him from some action when it came to last Sunday's loss to the Seattle Seahawks. So that's one to monitor for the Patriots moving forward. Of course, Sidy Sow has an ankle injury. He's their starting left guard. He's going to be out as well. So now you're looking at a starting left side for the New England Patriots of Michael Jordan, who was just signed to the Patriots 53-man roster, no relation to his airness. And, of course, someone that was on the practice squad to begin the season, and rookie left tackle Caden Wallace from Penn State, who played primarily right tackle last year. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Patriots can battle through those injuries to make this one a competitive game, because they're having difficulty moving the ball, especially in the passing game. It's going to be a lot more difficult, especially with that fearsome Jets defensive front, if they can't provide Jacoby Brissett any protection.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because unfortunately for the Jets, the fearsome defensive front became a little bit less fearsome last week as Jermaine Johnson suffered a season-ending injury. He ruptured his Achilles tendon, which unfortunately for the Jets is an injury they've come to know all too well the last 2 years. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was the biggest example of that last year, but they also lost Elijah Vera Tucker to a torn Achilles, and even a rotational defensive tackle last year, Al Woods, suffered an Achilles injury. And as most people know right now, that's not the only defensive end the Jets are down. Hassan Reddick, who was a big acquisition this offseason, has yet to play, and there's no sign that he'll be on the team anytime soon because he's holding out. So this defensive end spot, the guys who were supposed to be the top two guys, they're both out of this game. A lot of it, I think, is going to fall to Will McDonald, second-year guy out of Iowa State. He was a first-round pick last year. He registered 3 sacks against the Tennessee Titans. This Jets defensive end position is not what you're used to if you watch this team the last couple of years.
Yeah, without any question. And I think that's going to be something that the Patriots are going to try to exploit, especially if they're trying to get their passing game going. The New England Patriots have run the ball very effectively throughout the first 2 games, from Andre Stevenson looking like their feature back, looking like a top back in this league, maybe top 10 even, with the job that he's done running the ball in the first 2 games. Antonio Gibson, the free agent acquisition they got from the Washington Commanders in the offseason, has come in and been a solid complementary piece, rushed for 96 yards in a loss against the Seattle Seahawks. also showing that he can receive the ball out of the backfield. But the Patriots have yet to meld that running game into play action success. This team has been very reticent to push that envelope and to utilize the run to force play action and take some deep shots down the field. Now, there are some reasons for that. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett has been very reticent to push the ball because he doesn't want to turn it over. He wants to protect it. Turnovers for this team are going to be doubly costly, especially with all of the injuries and the problems they have on the offensive line. So they're trying to manage the game not to lose it. At the same time, if you become too conservative, it does give you difficulty and it does give you pause. So knowing that there may be some cracks, some fissures in that Jets defensive front and that Jets defense, Patriots may be wise to try to exploit that a little bit. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them come out aggressive in this game, something they have yet to do offensively in the first two games.
All right, Mike, let's turn our attention to the other side of the ball. What's the big story for the Patriots on defense heading into this one?
And unfortunately, it's also injury, John, and it is the season-ending injury, or at least what we believe to be the season-ending injury to linebacker Juwan Bentley. Look, Juwan is not someone that's going to show up on the highlight reel. He's someone that simply does his job in the middle of that defense, anchors the front, anchors the back, and makes sure that everybody is where they need to be. He's the lead communicator. He wears the green dot. He's telling everybody where they need to be and calling the plays. Juwan is also one of the most vocal and most respected leaders in that locker room. He suffered a torn pectoral and is going to be gone most likely for the remainder of the season. So not only are the Patriots missing a key part of their backbone, their heart and soul, but they're missing a guy that right now totaled 12 tackles in just a game and maybe a little bit under a quarter that he played last Sunday against the Seahawks when he suffered the injury. But they're also dealing with the loss of someone that really is a heart and soul member of that team. So right now, the New England Patriots are going to struggle to try to make up for that. They'll utilize some of their depth on that position. And it's a good thing the Patriots do have some depth along the linebackers and the defensive front, something they really don't have that luxury of when it comes to the offensive line. Raekwon McMillan is someone who played a good amount of snaps. I look for him to increase his total. Jelani Tavai, I think, is going to take a step up and play a little bit more off the ball. Kyle Duggar will most likely be the wearer of or the donor of that green dot. He'll be the one calling the plays. He's done it before. Patriots prefer to use the linebacker in that situation, but Kyle plays the game like one. He's up at the line of scrimmage. He'll do just fine in that regard. But as I said yesterday on Locked On Patriots, it's going to take a team of players that's going to be able to replace what Juwan Bentley gave you in New England. So that to me is the biggest storyline. Can the Patriots find a solid complement to Keion White at the pass rush and in pass defense? Obviously, in the secondary, Christian Gonzalez, they need someone to step up and be that third guy that can be a reliable force.
And I think, something you mentioned that kind of jumped out to me is just having a guy who makes sure everybody's lined up correctly, because it feels weird to say this, but the Jets actually do have a quarterback who now can figure out what's going on at the line of scrimmage and adjust the play accordingly in Aaron Rodgers. And I think that one of the things that's that kind of sets Rodgers apart is that, and I'm comparing it with Zach Wilson. But last year, if Zach Wilson, saw that the other team was playing a too high look and there was a pass play, he could check to a run. Rodgers takes it to another level. Rodgers can just adjust a route. I mean, there was a play against the Tennessee Titans where it was a third down play and the Titans coverage was very soft. He just threw Alan Lazard to the sticks. He saw that the Titans just gave Lazard too much cushion. So he just signaled to Lazard, break off your route, just run to the sticks. I'll get it to you. Again, it feels weird to say this about a Jets quarterback. It's been so long since the Jets had a quarterback who knew where the ball needed to go when he saw a breakdown on the defensive side of the ball. But that I think losing a guy who makes sure everybody's in the right spot. This is a Jets team that for once can actually take advantage of that.
Absolutely. And again, the Patriots have to be very weary of that, because when you're dealing with a Jets team now that has the ability to be able to push the ball, to be able to utilize the strength of the quarterback position to its full might, that's a very scary situation for New England right now, who is missing a huge part of what this team loves to do, not just in pass defense, but also in run defense. That's why the loss of someone like Juwan Bentley is so costly for the New England Patriots. That's definitely not the news Pats fans wanted heading into this short rest matchup with a team that's primed and looks to be ready for the challenge on both sides of the ball.
All right, well, that's the Patriots report. I had here on this crossover Thursday edition of Locked On Jets and Locked On Patriots. We're going to take a look at the team from New York, and there's a quarterback we just mentioned who's part of the top story for the Jets on offense. We'll get to that continuing here on this crossover Thursday edition of Locked On Jets and Locked On Patriots here on the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, and our episode today of Locked On Jets and Locked On Patriots is brought to you by Arena Club. For those who like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Mahomes card just isn't in the cards. You may like collecting, but that's some serious money to drop. Well, thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Every card was from last week's Arena Club slab pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and a clear hit rate for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent, with a full grade rationale provided and explanation of how your card was scored. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you've got to check out. And right now you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL, code LockedOnNFL. It's one word, no space, LOCKEDONNFL for 10% off your first purchase. It's Crossover Thursday here on the Locked On Podcast Network, and it's game day. The Jets and Patriots will play tonight at MetLife Stadium. It's actually the Jets' home opener, a rare Thursday night Week 3 game where a team opens its home schedule. I'm John Butchko, along with Mike Debate. I host Locked On Jets. Mike hosts Locked On Patriots. We've talked about the big stories surrounding the New England Patriots. Now let's talk about the big stories around the New York Jets. And Mike, on offense, I think the big story is more of a question. Did the Jets find a bit of an offensive identity week 2 against the Tennessee Titans? Week 1, things did not go so well. Week 2, things were off to an awful start. First 3 drives, the Jets did nothing with the ball. Then they made an adjustment. They started spreading the field. They started going to a bunch of empty formations. And that kind of got things going for them. They ended up scoring 3 touchdowns in the final 2.5 quarters of the game. And it just felt like Aaron Rodgers became more comfortable. In the first 5.5 quarters of the season, Jets were very run heavy, lots of first down runs, lots of second down runs. They started spreading the field. They started putting the ball in Rodgers' hands. And I think this is kind of like a new normal for Aaron Rodgers. This is not the guy you saw in Green Bay. Let me give you a stat, Mike. Aaron Rodgers right now, when he releases the ball in less than 2.5 seconds, has the 4th highest passer rating in the league. When he holds the ball for more than 2.5 seconds, he has the 4th lowest passer rating in the league. And the only guys behind him are Bryce Young, who was benched, and then 2 rookies, Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. And I think that the film kind of tells the story on this. Rodgers is still as smart as ever. He can decipher what's wrong in it. If a defense has messed something up, as we talked about, he can figure out what they're doing. He can adjust the play accordingly. He can get the ball where it needs to go. What he doesn't have is that ability to extend plays that made him so lethal in Green Bay, that made him so, when he was under pressure, he could break right or break left. 40 years old, coming off an Achilles injury. He doesn't have that anymore. You could tell that he's still trying to figure it out. He's still trying to adjust because he can't run as well as he used to. And he's looked very shaky when he's held the ball for longer than 2.5 seconds. And his footwork kind of falls apart. His throws are off target. Maybe that's something that gets better as he gets used to being confined to the pocket more frequently. But another stat for you is that only 7% of his passes have been for 20 traveled 20 yards or more in the air. Mm-hmm. Usually, if you look at his Green Bay numbers, it's thrown deep around double that. And even like a lot of the deep balls he threw, there was a touchdown to Breece Hall in the 3rd quarter of that game. There was a clutch throw to Mike Williams on a 2nd 16 in the 4th quarter that turned into the game-winning drive. Those were decisions he made early in the play where he liked the matchup and he went after them. This is not the guy who you saw in Green Bay. So kind of a new normal for Rodgers. I think the question is, did the Jets maybe find something with the quick strike offense, with the spreading the field against Tennessee?
Oh, I absolutely believe they did. And I think Aaron Rodgers looked very comfortable in the spread offense, and he started to utilize his pass catchers. And you mentioned Breece Hall. This is a guy that I think New England is going to very much zero in on, and they're going to have to be accounting for him on every snap, every play, every time that ball is touched. You want to know what he's going to be able to do with it. Hall sometimes gets matched up with a linebacker. I think the Patriots may actually put a coverage safety on him. They've done that in the past. That's a hallmark of a Bill Belichick type defense. Gerard Mayo is a Belichick disciple. A lot of people say, oh, he's doing everything different. He's doing everything new. But there are a lot of Belichickian elements still remaining in this defense. And I think that's exactly how the Patriots may try to counter it. But Rodgers loves to attack defenses, loves to throw vertical routes against single coverage when he likes that matchup. And if the Patriots give him those looks, he's going to be able to tee off on it because of the comfort now and the confidence with which he's playing once again. This, to me, is going to be a very key matchup and a very key situation for both sides to watch. Who wins this battle? Whoever comes out on top of this particular chess match may have the upper hand in this matchup, John.
And on the defensive side of the ball, it's about playing stout up front. I mean, I can't think of another way to put it. The Jets in week 1 got run all over by the San Francisco 49ers. Week 2, the Titans got off to a good start on the ground. The Jets actually played much stouter run defense as that game progressed. And you can look at the statistics. It looks like the Jets gave up a lot of rushing yards. It looks like the Titans had a good average per carry, but look at what the running backs did. A lot of that was kind of padded because Will Levis had some scrambles. I got to tell you, Mike, from watching the film, I did not think the Jets defensive line played a great game against the run, but I think the difference was Quinnen Williams. Whenever somebody lost their gap integrity on the defensive line, Quinnen Williams was there to cover. He was a first-team All-Pro last year, had a bit of a rough week 1. He had a huge week 2, and I think that was one of the things that helped guided the Jets. Another guy who stepped up was another linebacker, Jamie Sherwood, a fourth-year guy out of Auburn, a converted safety from college. C.J. Mosley went down in that game with a toe injury. It's not clear whether Mosley's going to play. In fact, if you look at the injury report, he hasn't practiced yet this week. It might not be happening for C.J. Mosley. Jamie Sherwood led the Jets with 12 tackles in week 2 against Tennessee, and he adds, as great as Mosley is, Mosley's not the fastest guy in the world anymore at this point. So I think Sherwood adds more speed and, filling the gaps, playing more sideline to sideline. I think the Jets need to play stouter up front. I don't think they can get pushed around the way they have the first 2 weeks. But the difference in week 2 was the linebackers covered for the defensive line, and the Jets tackled a lot better than they did. Week 1, there were a lot of missed tackles, which is not uncommon in the NFL to have a lot of missed tackles week 1. Week 2, the Jets tackled much better. We know this Patriots offense is very smash mouth. They've looked that way through the first 2 weeks. So it's, I don't, you can talk about scheme, but on some level, when you're playing against a team that likes to run the ball, it's about, who wins up front, who controls the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Patriots have had their difficulties and will continue to have their difficulties playing against stacked boxes because, again, that will eventually slow the running game. And if you slow the running game on this New England Patriots team right now, they haven't really given you a whole lot of film or a whole lot of confidence if you're a Patriots fan that they can get the job done in the passing game. They're only running play action 18% of the time when the running game facilitates it through outside zone. That's not going to get it done. You need to be able to increase that level. You need to be able to get your playmakers involved. Now, Hunter Henry had a monster game against the Seattle Seahawks just a few days ago. 109 yards receiving. The Jets are going to be watching that, and they're going to be looking for ways to be able to shut Hunter off, whether that's covering him with a safety or using a linebacker or a star-type player that's a hybrid that'll be able to shut him off and prevent him from being a weapon in the open field and in the red zone. That means Jacoby Brissett is going to have to start trusting his receivers. Demario Douglas had 3 targets. You cannot do that to one of your best receivers and expect this passing game to have any traction. Javon Baker, the rookie, they've been reticent to try him out because of difficulties with routes and drops. They may have no other choice but to go to him or someone like a Kayshon Boutte, who right now doesn't have a whole lot of experience on film, on tape, on the field, but he's someone that can make plays when given the opportunity to do so. And then when you start setting those guys up to kind of put the defense on its heels, that's when you can go to reliable pass catchers like KJ Osborne or Jalen Polk and especially use them in the red zone. Patriots are going to have to get aggressive in this passing game, take some shots down the field, take some chances, and try to keep the New York Jets defense off balance. That's the only way I think they're going to be able to have success against this Jets team on Thursday, because when you look at the tail of the tape on paper, the Jets just match up and better in just all areas.
All right, well, now you know all about the Jets and the Patriots. What do these teams need to do to win the game, though? We're going to head here on this crossover Thursday edition of Locked On Jets and Locked On Patriots. We're going to talk keys to victory. This episode of Locked On Jets and Locked On Patriots is brought to you by FanDuel. You've probably heard Mike and I talk a lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Well, now we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Of course, this game's on Thursday Night Football, which means your Sunday's free. If you're a Jets fan, you don't have to watch the Jets. The Jets will already be finished. Same with the Patriots. Do you really want to depend on Fox or CBS to show you show you the game they want? Watch the game you want on Sunday with your 3 free-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV. Again, it's just a $5 bet on FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel has the Jets as 6.5-point favorites in this game. So if you're a Jets fan, you're probably pretty confident your $5 can win. If you're a Patriots fan, maybe you'd think, hey, 6.5 points, that's a pretty good spread for my team. $5 on FanDuel will get you a 3 free-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All right, crossover Thursday here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm John from Locked On Jets, along with Mike from Locked On Patriots. Mike, Patriots are the road team. I'll let you go first. What are your keys to victory in this Week 3 game?
Well, first and foremost, if the New England Patriots are going to be successful, they have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That's been a key in their first 2 weeks, and it's going to continue to be one here. Granted, this, I think, is going to be their toughest test in doing so. In order to be able to try to win that battle, the guards, Layden Robinson and Michael Jordan, need to do a very good job in being able to identify what Quinnen Williams is going to do and try to marginally disrupt what he wants to do. They're not going to be able to stop him. That guy is way too good and way too much of a seasoned pro to be able to be confused by a rookie and by a couple of guys that really, have yet to gain any type of traction in being, NFL ready, offensive linemen. But Williams, once again, he's a nightmare for the Patriots interior offensive line. These guys need to be able to marginally disrupt. His ability to convert first step quickness into overwhelming power, that's a problem for the New England Patriots. It's been a problem since the beginning of his tenure in East Rutherford. What he's going to have to do now is he's facing a rookie right guard and a backup left guard. That's going to be very difficult, because one thing that Layden Robinson and especially Michael Jordan have difficulty controlling, and that's sometimes their ability to anchor in pass protection. They're both a little bit late in doing so, and Quinnen has one of the best steps in the league. If their Patriots are going to win this matchup, they have to try to marginally disrupt Quinnen Williams right at the point of attack. The second aspect of what New England needs to do on defense is they need to find a way to make sure that Christian Gonzalez is well supported in the defensive secondary, whether that be with Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones playing in the slot, whether that be with Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar helping out in the safety position. That secondary is going to have to be very, very good in order to be able to allow someone like a Keon White in the defensive front seven to be able to get after that Jets offensive line. That's going to be a tough thing for the Pats to do too, but it's going to be necessary if they want to win. And last, and certainly not least, is one that I'm actually going to pull from something you just said not too long ago. And this is about Aaron Rodgers right now under pressure and against the blitz. Yesterday on Locked On Patriots, Steve Balestrieri of PatsFans.com joined me, and we talked about those double A gap blitzes that the Patriots used to like to throw at aggressive and very competent quarterbacks. Normally, doing this against Aaron Rodgers is the kiss of death, because automatically what he's going to do is he's going to look at the holes that are created in the coverage, and he's going to be able to exploit them and pick them apart. Two things lead me to believe that the Patriots could have some success here. One, Aaron is still dealing with some uncertainty in his new teammates, and it does take synergy and time to be able to work that out. So if they can catch him off guard in one of those aspects, that could be a situation where the Patriots could exploit this defensively. Secondly, he's not as mobile as he was prior to the Achilles injury that he suffered last year. So if the Patriots do have a prayer to do that, they're going to have to be aggressive in trying to get after Aaron, maybe put him a little bit on defense in order to be able to work their game. If they can do those three, I think they have a puncher's chance in this one. But if they don't, it's going to be a long night for the Patriots in East Rutherford.
Mike, so I'll give you my keys for the Jets. One is, it's something you touched on. Quinnen Williams needs to look like Quinnen Williams. I love Quinnen Williams. I think he's a fantastic player. First 2 weeks, he has not looked like himself, and I am fully expecting him to bounce back. There are some Jets players who are off to slow starts I'm worried about. Quinnen Williams has such a track record. I'm not worried about him. And I think, as you mentioned, some of the issues the Patriots may have incorporating new guys into the offensive line. I mean, this has the makings of a get-right game for Quinnen Williams. And, as I mentioned in the last segment, I mean, Patriots are going to try and run the ball. And I think, if you look at the talent they have on the offensive side of the ball, I think that this is a line where, to this point of the year, the whole has been greater than the sum of the parts. I think they've gotten a lot from what I've seen out of the guys that they have to this point. But this is a matchup that should favor the Jets right now, especially with some of the changes that they're going to have up front. This is a game, it's going to be one in the the Jets need to win this in the trenches. And Quinnen Williams, especially with Jermaine Johnson now, the Jets just lost their top run stopping defensive end. That means Quinnen Williams at the defensive tackle spot has to play even bigger. The second thing I'll say, Jets need to figure out a way to slow down Hunter Henry. And, I think there are different ways they can do it. I don't know that they have, I think they'll throw different looks at him. They'll probably bracket him at some points. That's a guy that worries me. That's a guy who, could potentially be, take this game away from the Jets. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think they need to figure out creative ways to utilize their two young running backs, especially in the passing game. We talked about Breece Hall. Jets have a very talented 4th-round pick who's a rookie, Braelon Allen out of Wisconsin. And the two of them, outside of Garrett Wilson, they were the second and third leading receivers on the team last weekend. And this goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with Rodgers. It's an offense where you get the ball out quickly. It's an offense based on, making plays after the catch. If you look at this Jets receiver group, there aren't a lot of great yak guys. Garrett Wilson will create great quick separation. But after him, you have Mike Williams, who's a very talented receiver, guy who's coming off an injury. So he's been on a pitch count the first couple of weeks, only has one catch the first 2 games. Now that was a huge catch. It was a catch that moved the chains on a 2nd and 16 on the game-winning drive for the Jets in the 4th quarter. So it was a big catch. But, the way this offense is built right now, I'm not sure it necessarily is in Williams' wheelhouse. After him, you have Allen Lazard, who, to be charitable, is a bit of a disappointment when we talk about free agent signings for the Jets, and definitely not a yak guy. I mean, I don't know that Lazard. I'm trying to not be mean. If you're asking me what Lazard's strength is, I don't know. I don't know. I have an answer for you. The Jets did trade up for Malachi Corley in the 3rd round. He was known as the yak king in college, but he's not really playing much because his route running is such a work in progress. So if you're getting the ball out quick and you're depending on yak yardage, well, what better place to go than 2 running backs who, their job is to make plays with the ball in their hands, and they both did a good job of it. They both have flashed real skill. Both had receiving touchdowns against the Titans, and they've had a couple packages where the 2 of them were on the field together. In fact, one of the Braelon Allen's touchdown catch was on a play where the Jets faked a screen right to Breece Hall and then threw it back to Allen on the left side. So these are guys who I think can make a difference maker. I think these 2 running backs are going to be really important for the Jets this season. So those are my keys to victory.
Yeah, I think you make very interesting points. And if I seem to be chuckling a little bit as you were describing some of the difficulties with Lazard, I assure you I meant no disrespect to the Jets, the organization, or Allen himself. But Patriots have quite a few of those on the roster as well. So I feel your pain in that regard. Sometimes it's very difficult to see the forest through the trees on free agent acquisitions or any acquisitions that just don't work out the way you've hoped. And I think both of our organizations now can say that we've experienced those within the past few years.
I promise you, anything negative you say about Lazard, Jets fans have said 10 times over. So I think you're okay there, Mike.
I'll leave it to them. I'm always respectful of my brethren in Jersey, so I definitely will leave it to them to finish that part.
Well, Mike, it's always a pleasure. I can't wait to do this again later this season when the Jets go to Foxborough. All right, well, Jets fans and Patriots fans, we hope you enjoy the game tonight, and tune in tomorrow to Locked On Jets and Locked On Patriots. We'll break down what happens on the field at MetLife Stadium for this Week 3 game between these 2 bitter AFC East rivals. Fortunately, Mike and I think we're very friendly rivals. So, Mike, we look forward to doing this again. And take care, Jets fans. Take care, Patriots fans. Tune in tomorrow. Locked On Jets, Locked On Patriots. We'll recap what happened on Thursday Night Football.